So let's talk about the future of the channel for a moment and the possibility of where we're going. There's been a lot of burnout lately, but I have been pitching to people, especially in the last video, about doing a potential new form long series, like I did with the Arno one a couple years back, which was pretty exhausting. But the problem with doing like such a long video is it's really hard, especially on YouTube. Like, to spend a whole year making one video was not good for the algorithm stuff. Even if that video did alright, it suffers. So if we are going to do that again, it's probably going to be separate videos and then a final one that's connected together. And when we talk about those separate videos, I'm thinking about 10, and it's going to go a bit like this. So maybe his early career into Urusei Yatsura, through the TV show to the movies, and knocking around a couple of the rumors along the way, including things like Mamoru Oshii and the author of Urusei Yatsura. Did they get on? Was there a problem? Is it all just hyped up for silly reasons? Let's get into it. The next video, we're looking at Dallos and possibly OVA culture. Sometimes it's called the birth of OVA culture, but is that the case? And also, let's look at some of the other influential OVAs that Oshii has been part of, including one that will get its own video, Angel's Egg. That's one I never thought would get licensed, but now it has that 4K restoration, finally getting released in the States, home release too. That's insane. Really living in wild times out there, but we're going to talk about that and how technically it started as producer Toshio Suzuki trying to Miyazaki-ize Oshii, make him into that sort of auteur director, which Oshii is on record and saying is something he doesn't believe in. But the problem was, it did really poorly, and to Oshii's own credit, he said it basically made him blacklisted for several years. Oh yeah, and he's not religious, guys. Let's get that one out of the way. And of course, we can't forget to talk about his franchises, if that be Patlabor, the TV series, OVA, movies, and Tokusatsu. Get it all together in one nice big package and talk about the history of Patlabor and how that came to be. And what about his other big franchise people know? Now, not just Wolf Brigade, but Panzerkopf as radio dramas, comics, live action, and yes, Wolf Brigade, along everything else. Speaking of live action, what about one on the entire history of live action Oshii and his weird, strange approach sometimes to filmmaking? And of course, there is Ghost in the Shell, which was an absolute unprecedented mega success for Production IG and Oshii, with 1.6 million copies sold by 2002 or something silly like that. On another world, I suppose, from what they were probably expecting, including then its contentious sequel, Innocence, and its relation to Ghibli. Also seems to have gotten a new restoration recently. Really is the year for Oshii, huh? And then we get on to what was maybe his final in that era of type of high concept sci-fi style movies that he directed with Skycrawlers. I believe in 2012 he said that this was probably the last time he did something like that, because there just wasn't the animators in the industry that he could get together to make a project like this. So it's kind of a dying breed. And after that period, we get into a very kooky era of Oshii being all over the place. Kind of almost like maybe we'd say his indie era. You know, he's making stuff without production committees. That's Lad Love. Always working in teams on other stuff. Anyway, that's a rough intro of all the 10 videos I'm thinking of now. Maybe there'll be more, who knows, but that should make up the entire mega cut eventually. And when we get to cutting it and putting it all together, maybe I'll add bits and pieces if there's anything missing. Recently I've made a lot of videos. I feel a bit like I've been sprinting, especially with sponsors, and sponsors come and go, but really, to make a series like this, I will need community support. You know, if that be on Patreon or YouTube or otherwise. There's no other way to do it, frankly, because I don't know how well those videos will perform. I don't know how it's going to go. And after doing so many videos recently, I've been feeling a little bit burnt out and thinking about what the future of the channel is. And if I can't get enough support on a baseline level to produce this and get the content for it in terms of maybe translations or resources or just having the time to research without having to worry about numbers, I don't think I'll be doing any more long form series. Or I don't know if there will be a future in the channel, frankly. So basically, the support is much appreciated, and I want to get back to, I'm thinking of doing some exclusive videos strictly for Patreon in terms of fully edited videos that won't ever come on the main channel. They'll just be on YouTube exclusives or Patreon. And the first one's pretty much already done, which is on Shuna's Journey, which is a Miyazaki recently translated in the last couple of years manga that's quite interesting in terms of its impact on the future of his films, and just that it's also a pretty beautiful little package. But for when it comes to the Oshii series, we're going to be looking at all his cancelled and unfinished projects that probably won't fit into the actual mainline series, but will be fun to talk about as a sort of addendum. There's already some exclusive stuff on there, like STEVEM's Anime Corner, in terms of just those are vlogs talking about anime. There's over 10 of those now already, and there's a series of commentaries on my prior videos talking about those. And when I did the Arno videos, there is a whole entire series on just the making of that. And maybe I'll do something similar with the Oshii one. I'm not really sure yet, but I want to keep everyone up in the loop and talk about what we're doing there. Absolutely. I mean, I appreciate everyone who supports the channel, because it's hard to make this stuff, and even the smallest donations really help along the way. And if you can't, that's completely fair, if you don't have the money or whatever. But I will say sharing, liking, commenting on the series goes a long way to get it in front of the right people and make it sustainable. And I appreciate when anyone does that, and I'll probably need a lot of that to make the series go. I expect the whole thing to probably take about a year plus, and maybe there might be some time when I feel a little bit too, maybe a little too tired to keep doing the series all the way through, and I might take some small breaks to release some videos off topic here and there. But I will try and keep everyone up to date as much as possible about that process, and I hope we get enough support to actually go through with it and make it a whole thing, because I think people will really like it. And that's enough.